Welcome everyone to a new chapter of Sin Malditas Excusas, or in English, No Damn Excuses. I'm very happy today because today is listen to this, chapter 50. Whoa, applauses, yeah. And today we have a great guest. All of our guests are amazing people. Let me read you about this guest. He's passionate about entrepreneurship and investment. He created his first website at the age of 13 and sold his first startup at the age of 25. Since then, he has acted as an investor, business angel, and founder of Leonis Investissement. Then you will probably correct me about that one. A private club that offers its members the opportunity to invest in fast-growing startups in Silicon Valley. In 2019, he released My Investor Secrets, published by Maxima, with a preface by Xavier Neal. Do you have the courage to follow your dreams like Gabriel, or will you be a dreamer forever? This podcast will seek to find the truth through conversation, interviews, and constant search of wisdom. Alrighty, let me invite to the stream to Gabriel. Here it is. Big applause to him. Gabriel, how are you today?
I'm good, Rodrigo. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Awesome, excellent. We were just talking backstage, knowing a little bit about yourself. You were mentioning that you right now are located in Paris, France.
Yes, born and raised. Very, very proud to be French and to be a Parisian. But you know, I'm like to the opposite, let's say, of many French people and many people all around the world who stay in their own country. I wanted to explore. So of course I've visited many places on earth, 57 countries I think, but I'm also investing outside of France in Silicon Valley, and of course I'm excited to chat about that.
I'm quite intrigued because we, at the beginning in the introduction, we said that you created your first website at the age of 13, and then you sold it, and then you sold your first startup at the age of 25. Well, do you recall what was the name of the webpage and what was it about?
Yes, so it's two different. So the one I started at 13 and the one I sold at 25 are two different businesses. But when I was 13, I was a Boy Scout, and in the Boy Scout, we had to go on the Sunday at the end of church, at the end of service, to sell bakeries and cakes that we would prepare to get funds for the summer camp. We need to wake up in the Sunday morning and collect funds at the finishing of the mass, at the ending of the mass. And I didn't want to get up on Sunday. I was lazy, and so I learned HTML and CSS. Online. I found tutorials, free online courses and stuff. And I said, well, I'm going to sell websites. So I started coding websites for $100. Which I would sell to people that I knew. It's the beginning of 2001, 2003 when I was 13, the beginning of the web. And I'm like, oh, you want a website? I will sell you a website for $100. I was 13. So, I would make those super bad websites, but they were working, they were online. I sold them to, friends of my dad, people that I knew, people at the Boy Scout. And then I said, okay, I'm going to contribute those $100 to the Boy Scout thing. And so I'm going to skip the Sunday morning, getting up, selling the bakeries. I would stay in bed and stay at home on Sunday because I was selling those websites and bringing money like this. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I can see that you have this spirit of entrepreneurship. And probably to start just like talking and making you a lot of questions. In your own words, how would you describe yourself nowadays?
What I do most of the time is I invest in startups and I help people invest in startups with me. But most people would say, oh, he's an investor. I would describe myself as an entrepreneur still. So I've built countless businesses. You can include the 13-year-old website as a business thing. Then others when I was a student. Then I sold the first one when I was 25. I've been building other businesses since. And even today, I see myself as an entrepreneur because I have a business, Leonis Investment, Leonis VC is a business where I have customers who want to invest with me in deals. And so, it's a company that's earning money. So it's still a business. I still see myself as an entrepreneur. Of course, now I spend also a lot of my time investing my own money and other people's money. But I would describe myself as an entrepreneur for sure.
Excellent, very good. I do like when someone call himself an entrepreneur because it makes you see and act different. There's an attitude there. Do you remember, for example, when you were a child, a memory that is like it's stuck with you and you always remember that kind of thing?
Yes, in reference to all of this, there is a memory which is kind of fun. I was passionate about computers, innovation, internet. I grew up. I was born in 1990. So when fast internet came around in the 2000s, I was just a kid, a teenager, let's say. And I remember one day I was probably around the same. Okay, so it has to be before when I was 13, before the website. So probably the year before when I was 12, because it's linked. And I go to my dad, and I was sure he was going to say, no, it's not going to happen. And I go to him and I say, can I have a computer? And he looks at me and he says, yes.
Whoa.
What? So I'm like, so I don't believe him. So I say, okay, when can I get it? I'm thinking he's going to say, next year or whatever. He looks at me and he says, tomorrow we go buy it. I don't even believe what's happening. So the next day we go buy the computer. He puts the computer in my room, which maybe was a mistake, but the result was I was spending a lot of time on the computer for sure, learning how it worked, etc., etc. And this is, a few months later where I was learning to code. Of course, today it's very useful to know how to code, even if I don't code on a daily basis. But of course, it all started back in that room because my dad said yes. So that's a fun childhood memory that I remember.
High five to your dad, then.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same when I have kids. I'm gonna do the same. Like if you want a computer, go for it. Yeah, but no video games.
That's amazing. You mentioned that you were very passionate about investment, startups. You call yourself an entrepreneur. How did you enter the investment world?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Basically, what happened is I was so passionate about entrepreneurship. Okay, for me it was everything. So I started even as a kid, then I was studying, and even as I was a student, I was studying engineering. Near the end of my studies, I was already creating businesses. One of my first customer was actually my own school that I was selling services to. And wow. I kept creating businesses. And many times I failed. Most of those businesses didn't work, or they just worked a little bit, making like a few €100 per year, maybe a few €1,000 per year, not enough to make a living, to spend my full time on those businesses. And every 6 months, every 3 months, every year, I would start something else. I would try. I would say, okay, this is not working. Let me try this. Okay, this is not working. Let me try this. This is not working. Let me try this. And so I created I was between 18 and 28 years old. I created almost 10 businesses, maybe 7 or 8 businesses that I was really working on for several weeks, several months, and tried to get off the ground. Most of the time, it didn't work. One I sold at 25, but it was not like a huge success, not a huge sell.
What was that?
So the website I was selling wine online. Very cliche for a French guy. Basically, I was doing the marketplace of wine. I realized that there was no marketplace like Amazon where you don't own the wine. I said I can just do a website and there is no asset. I don't need to keep the wine, to store it. It was just a website basically. And so I did sell wine. It grew. It was one of the biggest wine selling websites in France. But still, I realized it's actually part of answering your question of how I came to investment. Selling wine online is a terrible business. The margins are super small, and wine is extremely heavy, so very expensive to ship, and it's fragile, so it breaks. And so I realized I don't want to sell wine anymore. This is a terrible business. That's why I sold it. And I started to realize, okay, not all businesses are equal. Some businesses do a lot of margin, some businesses do a little bit of margin. Some businesses are painkillers, others are vitamins. And starting all of those businesses and failing every single time, I was realizing, okay, this is why I failed. I didn't have the right offer. I didn't have the right business plan. I didn't have the right, etc. I didn't know how to reach my customers, etc., etc. And so I learned from all of this. After doing so much of those businesses and failing, I was starting to have a good view on what makes a business succeed, what makes a business fail. And I was seeing other startups, other people, doing businesses, and I was comparing notes. I was like, okay, he's doing the same mistakes as me, so he's not going to succeed. But sometimes I would see a business and say, oh, he figured it out. He's not doing the mistakes that I made in all my previous 8 businesses. Every time I made a different mistake, he's not making any of them. He actually figured it out. So he's going to succeed. And I started to think, okay, I understand before everyone else that he's going to succeed, and why? How can I take profit from this? Originally, I thought I can copy him, but you start from scratch. Then I said, I can try to be a co-founder with him, but it's too late. He already started his business. He doesn't want me as a co-founder. So the obvious answer for me was, I can invest in the business. Startups are raising money. If I invest, if I become a shareholder, then if he succeeds, I make money. So I started to invest. And then I had another problem. I didn't have any money. So how do you invest without money? And so this is when I had the idea for Leonis, where a group of people, everyone contributes a little bit of money, but if you have enough people contributing, you can have bigger pools of money. Then you can invest in the startup. And so this is what I do today with Leonis, with people in France.
And talking about how do you pronounce correct the Leonis
Investissement is just investment. It should be translated for you. It's Leonis Investment, basically. So you say Investissement in French. You are not that far off. Leonis, basically Leonis Investment or Leonis VC. Everything works. Yeah.
Nice. So you were talking that you gather a group of people to start Leonis Investment, or how all of this started? Like, you got the idea, then you went to your family, friends. Who else? How did you do it? Did you bootstrap all of the first amount of capital that you needed, or tell us everything? We need to know. Like, we are eager to understand this.
Yeah. It's a fun story too. So I wanted to invest. Okay, we're just where I just left the story. I wanted to invest, but I didn't have enough. And so most of the times I would go to the founder. I would say, I want to invest. He would say, okay, 100K. I would say, impossible. And he would say, okay, goodbye. And I would miss the investment. Okay. Sometimes I was able to invest. I was convincing him. I say, if you let me invest 2K or 5K, but I will really, really help you. I will, I have my experience as an entrepreneur. I've built all of those businesses. I've learned so many things along the way, so I can help you, etc. Sometimes they would say, yes, we can let you invest. And sometimes I would also invest online on crowdfunding websites. It was very rare back then, 2014, 15, 16, it was the beginning, but sometimes I could. So I started on my own, but I still had that problem of many deals. I couldn't do them because of the amount. But on the platforms and on the few deals that I made, my first 3 investments, I made 2 exits in 3 years. In 2 years. So after 2 years, I've made 3 investments. I've made 2 exits. From 2K to 10K and from 5K to 15K. Okay. And so I tell everyone, I post on my social networks, on my LinkedIn, every time I meet someone, I'm like, I've made this exit, I've transformed 2K in 10K. It's so amazing. And so it started that some people, some friends, some family members that said, I want to do that too. You invest 2,000 and you get 10,000 2 years later without doing anything. Share with me your next opportunity. And so this is when I had the idea of Leonis. This is how I started. So I did it with friends and family. I created a Facebook group with like 7 people on it. And I said, next time I'm investing, I will post on the Facebook group and you can join. And so this is how it started. The first investment we made, the entrepreneur agreed for 35K. So 7 people times 5K. So I go to everyone and say, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And the next day someone says, oh, sorry, I don't have, cash right now. So I'm going to drop out. I go back to the entrepreneur. I say, it's not 35. It's going to be 30. 6 people times 5. The entrepreneur says, never mind. If it's 30, I don't want to do it. And so it didn't work, So we had to refine and we had to, etc. But at this moment, I understand that I can offer this to other people. I say, if my friends are interested, some other people are going to be interested as well. And so, this is when I started doing content online, social media, Twitter, blog, YouTube channel, talking about what I did and what I do. And then, I said, if you want to invest with me, join the club. And, we've today, we are more than 350 investors, many of them that I don't even know personally, that came from, knowing me online. And we've invested in total more than $30 million. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I have 2 questions on what you just have said. The first one is, how did you gain the trust from people that didn't even know you to put money on your hands and then you invest that money? And the second one is, you mentioned that you have some exits. For all of those that are listening or it's going to be listened afterwards, this show, can you explain what is an exit in simple words?
Yeah, of course. Let's start with the exit because it's important to understand. We invested in a startup, so it's a young company that's growing very quickly, and we hope that the company is going to grow. And at this moment, when it's a big company, you can think of Facebook or Uber or Airbnb, etc. We're hoping that it gets either acquired, so if someone buys the startup, or it IPOs, which means it goes into the stock market. Those 2 things, a startup that you've invested in being acquired or going into the stock market, doing an IPO, is called an exit. Basically, you made an investment and you exit your investment and you get your money back. Of course, the idea is that you get much more money than you invested. So to give you an example, the best exits in Silicon Valley, the Hall of Fame, like the best of the best, people got 10,000 times their money back, a 10,000x return. Those are the best of the best. What I'm targeting, because I'm investing in Silicon Valley, once again, it's not the same for Europe and for the rest of the world, but in Silicon Valley, I'm targeting from 100x to a 1000x, which is, of course, I'm also, targeting the 10,000x, but those are the best, the best startups that about, the Airbnbs, the Ubers, etc. Even for, let's say, smaller, less spectacular startups that don't end up being worth hundreds of billions of dollars, you can still do between 100x and 1000x on your investment, which is still pretty significant. And if you've invested only $2,000, which is the minimum investment at Leonis, so it's accessible to a lot of people, $2,000. If you make 1000x, it's $2 million. So, instantly you become a millionaire. Just not instantly, because it takes time, right? It takes 5 to 7 years on average, and there's no guarantee. The startup might fail, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of exit opportunities that we're targeting. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, did I get so many people to trust me? Well, there's a few things. So first of all, it was not my first time investing. I said, look, I've invested in the past. Of course, at the time, I had invested much less than I have now, but still, I said, I have invested in the past. Look what I did. My first 3 investments, 2 of them, I've been an exit very quickly. And so I kind of said to everyone, I know what I'm doing. I've done it before, and we're going to do it again. So that's the first thing. The second thing is my YouTube channel. I have one of the biggest YouTube channel, the biggest YouTube channel in France and in French about startup investing. With today, it's something around 35,000 subscribers. And so I was making content, creating videos, doing, explaining basically my thought process, how I look at startups, what's my analysis, what are my investment criteria. I was doing some live analysis of startup, which I still do today. Like, I will take a startup, do a live video, and say, okay, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what's good. Here's what's not good. And at the end of the video, I would say, if you want to invest with me with that type of, criteria and analysis, you can join the club. So I guess this also is part of what brought me trust from people, credibility. People say he knows what he's talking about, which is what I try to show on YouTube. Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. We will say hi to Carlos Alfonso, who says, congratulations for this great initiative. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Gabriel, in terms of the investments that you perform, can you tell us a little bit about what kind of investment, what kind of companies are the ones that you like, you put your eyes on it and you go after it? Like how do you manage to be on the spot, be active, knowing what kind of a startup it is a thesis that you manage, and you said, from this thesis, I'm not going like outside of the thesis. You'll invest on this kind of companies. Can you like try to explain like the process, please?
Absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, I've been investing for so long now. My first investment, I think, was in 2013. So it's been 9 years. So first of all, I'm pretty much identified in the investing world as someone who invests. And so I'm lucky and fortunate to receive a lot of deal flow, a lot of people reaching out to me. I get, I don't know, at minimum 10 deals per day that are sent to me just to look at. Okay. So that's one, because I've been doing it for so long, and, people talk about it, and there's, I don't know, websites and lists and stuff, etc. Okay. But I'm also fortunate enough to be in touch with one of the greatest incubators in the world. I'm talking about Y Combinator. Y Combinator is the biggest, the most famous startup incubator in the world. It's located in San Francisco. It is a place where some very famous startups have been incubated and accelerated. For instance, Stripe, Airbnb, Coinbase, Dropbox, Twitch, Reddit, DoorDash, etc., etc. So it really is, I would say, the unicorn factory. All right. And so this is one of the main places that I source my investments from. It's pretty tough to get into that network, but luckily enough, I am part of that network. And so this is a good place to source my deals. It's not exclusive, but this is a good place. And so you asked me about what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, first of all, startups in the digital world. So I'm not investing in physical products. The reason is scale. Something, digital can scale infinitely without any cost. Let me give you an example. If you're Apple, if you're McDonald's, every time you sell an iPhone, every time you sell a Big Mac, you have to create the product. You have to pay for, you have to have a cow that's, that's been grown and fed for years. You have to have, wheat and salad, tomatoes, cheese, whatever. You have to have the physical restaurant that you pay rent on. If you're Apple, every time you sell an iPhone, you have to buy the screen, you have to manufacture it in China, you have to pay the employee in the factories, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But if you're Airbnb, every time someone books a night, you don't have to fabricate and to do anything. You build the website once, and then the same website over and over and over again will be used. So it's scalable, and in economical terms, we say there's no marginal cost. There's only a fixed cost, an initial cost of creating the business, of creating the software. And it's the case for every great startup that we know, Facebook, Uber, Google. It's the same, search engine that everyone uses. Every new click, every new ad brings more money, but the cost to operate stays low. And this is how you make a lot of money, okay? So I invest in digital products. Of course, this is what Silicon Valley is famous for anyway. So that's one thing. Then I'm investing in startups that demonstrate traction. There's a saying, everyone here knows about it, 9 startups out of 10 fail. And it's true, 9 startups out of 10 do fail. But 9 startups out of 10 don't actually manage to get traction. What is traction? Traction is you have more and more and more and more clients, customers, and more revenue, and it's accelerating. Sometimes we can also say it's product market fit. Basically,
Mhm.
you have an offer, people are buying it, you know how to sell it, and it's growing faster and faster. And so by investing where in a startup that already has traction, you really decrease your risk. Many people think that investing in a startup is investing in a team and an idea. And
Mhm.
sometimes it can be, but for me, that's not the way I approach it. I want to invest when there's already traction. And so for me, it's like, betting on a horse after the race has ended. I know which horse is actually already running the fastest because I know the traction. If you bet just on the team and the idea, you're betting at the beginning of the race and you don't have a lot of data to know who's going to win. But I'm betting at the end, or let's say, halfway through the race, I'm betting at that moment, and I see who's actually running the fastest, and this is who I'm betting on. So it really reduces risk to lose your investment. And so with me, it's not 9 out of 10 of my investments that fail. It's rather so far 9 out of 10 of my investments that keep growing and that potentially will have an exit in the long term and make money. And the last.
So,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
Okay, there's one last, and then I'm done. So, I'm really, there's many more, of course, the team, the market, etc. But the condensed vision of what I invest in is scalability, traction, and the last one is unfair advantage. And by unfair advantage, I mean every great idea, every great startup gets copied. How do you know this is the startup that's going to make it to the finish line? This is going to become one of the leaders. So, an unfair advantage can be many things. Of course, it can be, a secret sauce. It can be a brand. It can be what do founders know that other people don't. It can be a patent, even though, on the computer world, it's not very easy to patent computer code, but it could. Anything that makes it, Warren Buffett calls this a moat. So basically, it's defensibility. How do you make sure that this startup is going to win? And if you have those three, I think you're already making a very good investment.
Nice, amazing. That's a great explanation as well. And I guess that you always put your hands on the decks of the startups, so you have all of that data to analyze before actually doing the investment, isn't it?
Of course, the deck. More than the deck, we have data rooms, we do due diligence, we ask them, questions. I'm also talking to the founders directly. I'm never investing if I'm not able to talk to the founder face to face, one-to-one, like we're doing right now. So yeah, I do have access to a lot of information to make my decision, of course. Yeah.
Perfect. In terms of your learnings, what has been your greatest learning to date investing in companies? Something that you could say yeah, this is it. Like if there's a pill to like a pill for when you're ill, this is your pill.
I would say something for me that is important is you never know the future. You never know what's going to happen. And of course, it's obvious you never know the future, but investors, they want to try to predict the future. And people spend so much time, making conjectures and bets and thinking like, oh, is this company getting acquired next year? And what revenue are they going to make, etc. People spend so much time in the future. And actually, I like to spend time in the present. Maybe in the past, when I look at startups, I want to look at what they've done in the past, because this is real. It's not conjecture about the future. I don't know if they're going to get acquired. I don't know what numbers they're going to do next year. And I don't even want to take the time to guess. I would much rather focus on what they've done in the past, what they've demonstrated. So you don't know what's going to happen. For me, it's a waste of time. And also, in the same sense of you don't know what's going to happen, is my job and your job as an investor is to take as many good bets as possible. Make sure by looking at the past that it's a good bet. But once it's done, don't spend time. I mean, I personally spend time with the startups to help them. But if you're just a passive investor, don't spend time worrying, trying to guess, et cetera, et cetera. Just when you did it, it was a good investment. And after that, just don't worry about it. Let it be. And sometimes you have good surprises. Sometimes you have bad surprises. It's very fun for me. Some businesses, you think, wow, this is a sure deal. Like for sure, this is going to go really well. And then it turns out not that well. And some other deals, I still invest because I think it's a great deal, but I'm like, we'll see. And it turns out to be absolutely amazing. So if you see a great opportunity, take it and then forget about it. That's, for me, that's the way to invest in startups, and just focus on finding the next opportunity, because you never know. Some businesses you think they're going to do great, they're going to fail. Some others you're not really sure, and you're going to be very surprised of what they do.
Amazing. I was seeing your portfolio. Can you speak a little bit about how many startups you have nowadays to inform the people like what you have done?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know the exact number, but my portfolio, first of all, is completely public. You can look it up on leonis.vc. That's leonis.vc.
Okay. Can you put the link in the private chat, and I can stream stream it
for sure.
and show it to
so
everyone.
This is the website, and the portfolio is leovc/portfolio. So yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, let me.
Yeah, and
Go
so
ahead.
it's public. We've made around 45 investments. I don't know the exact number. It might be 42 or 47 or something. But yeah, so we've invested in. That's it. Yeah, thank you so much. We invested in around 45 companies. Our check size right now is around 500K. We've gone up as high as 1 million, even 1.7. Our biggest investment at once. But on average 500 to 700K. In startups from Y Combinator, mostly from Silicon Valley. Mostly, we've made a few investments in India and in Mexico. Companies that went through the Y Combinator program. YC has extended their program to Latam and to India. So we've done a few investments there as well. But mostly we're focused on Silicon Valley. And yeah, so 45 checks of around 500K on average. The total invested is $31 million. To date, since the beginning, with the majority concentrated in the last 3 years. So out of the 31, I think there's 28 or something in the last 3 years. And what's interesting is those 31 million invested today are worth 83 million. So we invested 31, they're worth 83. And how do I make that calculation? Is with the valuation of the next raises of the companies that we've invested in. So we invested in the seed. The company raises a Series A, Series B at a higher valuation. This is how I calculate the multiple. So 31 million invested, worth 83, which is of course something that I'm very, very proud of, as you can imagine.
Congratulations on that. And I'm imagining one person is looking at this and he's wondering, I'm a regular guy, I'm living abroad, like in Latin America or Australia, I don't know. And he says, how can I actually invest with Gabriel? How he can do that?
So that's a very good question. And yes, you can. Leonis is actually in French, because it's the first target is the French-speaking community, and mostly French people and French people around the world. But I do have a syndicate on AngelList, which most of you might be familiar with. So AngelList is a platform for investing. I do have a syndicate there. It's called Leonis. So if you Google, Leonis syndicate AngelList, I can maybe even send the link. And with this, you can join my syndicate and invest with me. And I do run some deals there. So feel absolutely free to invest with me here as well and to join.
Alrighty, I'm going to send the link to everyone.
Yeah, if you type in on Google Leonis Syndicate AngelList, you'll find it. But otherwise, yeah, this is the link that's popped up here. You can do a screen capture to get the link later.
Excellent. Let me see. Oh, I thought I was. Don't worry. So the next question for you is, with all of the knowledge that you have nowadays, what would you have done differently when you started your company?
That's a good question. When I started this business, Leonis, maybe nothing. I don't know, because it's like I'm thinking all of the previous
it was too
businesses,
perfect. It was too perfect.
No, it was not too perfect. But the thing is, so many businesses before I failed, and so those businesses I would do differently. Leonis is my business that has worked the best. Like it's my best business to date.
Okay.
It's very good business and growing very quickly. And so I'm not sure if I would change too much. I would say at the beginning when I started, I was exploring many things. I was also doing investment on the stock market, in crypto, etc. And I very late decided to focus on startups because this is really my, where I'm the best, where I'm unique. There's a lot of people talking about investing in the stock market and in crypto, but startup investing is very rare. And so I would have focused on that from the beginning. But it was new. Still at the time, I was liking startups much more than the rest, but I was also kind of testing the market. And it turns out this is what worked out for me the best, startups. But so I would have focused on that, really from the beginning, but I wouldn't change too much because Leonis is a great business. It's working. And so, I don't want to change too much of it because it got me here. So yeah.
Okay. So if someone wants to follow your steps, like beginning his own company to invest in startups, what would you recommend? Like 3 things that he or she must do.
Well, it's actually kind of like a marketplace. It depends. If you already do have money and you want to invest your own money, it's easier because you just have to find, it's tough, but it's easier. You just have to find deal flow. And so how do you find deal flow? You can find other people that have deal flow like me, and they can share it. I share it, on my syndicate, for instance. Or you can go yourself, see incubators in your network, people who are, building businesses and stuff like that. If you do not have money to invest, then it becomes trickier because it's a marketplace, what I've built, because you also have to find the deal flow and the startups, but at the same time, you have to find the investors to bring you the money. And so I would say, start finding the deal flow, of course, but also start finding the investors. Same thing in your network. What I did is I built basically a YouTube channel. So I built a media to get in front of people, I would say. And those are the things that you got to do. Find the deal flow, find the investors, and then the third thing is make it happen. Make it make the deals happen. Find, I would say, an investment thesis. Like, what are you going to invest in? What do you like? Where are you better than everyone else to select the deals and to select the best deals? Why are you good at that? What's your credibility? And then rock and roll.
Rock and roll, baby. Yeah. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you about Leonis Investment, but you would like to talk about before we move on to the next topic?
Yes, there is. Okay, something that's very important for me with Leonis is bringing those investments, making them accessible to the regular people. Investing in startups usually is behind closed doors. It's reserved to big investment funds, and to be an investor in the fund, you need to have at least $1 million, maybe 5 million, 10 million. And so it's a way for rich people to get even richer. And, I think we're living now in a time where we're democratizing investing. Robinhood is giving access to everyone. Crypto is giving access to everyone. And, websites like AngelList, for instance, are giving access to everyone. But what I'm very proud of with Leonis is that I'm giving access to those investments to regular people. It's $2,000 per investment, so it's not accessible to everyone. I have some people that tell me I don't have $2,000, and that that makes sense. But it's still much more accessible than if you needed 100,000 or 1 million. Like, this is really the elite, and this brings it back to so many more people. So this is really my mission. What drives me. This, what makes me proud. I'm, helping regular people invest in this asset class. Of course, it's risky, and they understand it, but it can also, bring great returns. I've talked about millionaires. If you invest 2K and you make 1,000x, you get 2 million. And so my life's goal is to create 1,000 new millionaires in France, let's say in the world, to create 1,000, but most likely it's going to be in France, but 1,000 new millionaires from their startup investment by selecting the best startup, the fastest growing, from the best incubator in the world. So of course today it's zero, right? I haven't created any millionaires, but it's really my goal, my purpose, and what I'm doing, why I'm doing this. So yeah, I wanted to mention that.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Applauses for that. Next topic on the show, it's called trigger questions. A friend of mine recommend me to call these ping pong questions, but I'm still saying it's trigger questions. So I have 5 questions for you. So the idea here is that you must provide short answers, not so long.
Okay.
And are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, cool. Let's go. So the first one, Gabriel, is what do you appreciate most in life?
Gratitude. I have, I think, a very exceptional life, and expressing gratitude towards my life makes me feel good, and I think everyone should do that.
Nice, very good. I believe that you already answered this one, but what's your purpose in life?
Oh yeah, help people access investment, help people, share. I know how to invest. I want to share this and get this knowledge for people, get them, financially independent, and etc. Yeah.
Number 3, what's true about you today that would make your 8-year-old self cry?
Cry of joy or cry of sadness?
Take it.
Okay. I mean, something that I dreamed of for a long time was, having my business, that it works, that I'm my own boss, I have time to do whatever I want. So for those so many years where I was failing, my only dream was I want to be my own boss, have a business that works. So I don't know if it would make me cry, but it would make me, the past, maybe not 8 years old, but from 18 to 20, whatever, it would make me very proud that, okay, I've done it. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Number 4, who is the person that you admire more in your life and why?
So many people I admire. My parents, my brothers, my wife, just because, super smart people and fascinating and brave.
Choose one.
Choose one. I have to say my wife, because I mean, first of all, she bears with me. And she's also an entrepreneur, and it's super hard for her as well. And she's very brave. Very impressive to see her.
Nice, very good answer. You are going to have a very good dinner tonight. Having said that,
she's not here. So it's free. It's true. She's not going to listen to this. Maybe she will. No, I don't know, but it's true. So yeah.
All right, and the last question is your biggest fear in life.
This one. So there's two answers, but it's still a short answer. The obvious one is death. I think everyone is afraid of death, but I'm trying to work on that. I think it's better now. I think I'm less scared of death than before. It's part of meditating, reading, philosophy, etc. The other thing would be to die without having accomplished anything significant. It's kind of linked. I think the second is even more now. Like I'm less and less scared of death and more scared of this, which is good, which makes me want to have an impact. So I would say probably those two, death and impact thing. Yeah.
Great. Excellent answers. Very good. Applause to you as well.
And
we are arriving to the bonus track, almost the end of the show. We are running on schedule and on time. It's been amazing. And this bonus track is general recommendations of you towards books, movies, some series that you have watched, or a podcast that you listened that you can recommend to the community of all of the people that listen to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I read a lot, but what I do even more is listen to one podcast. I do listen to one podcast and nothing else, which I absolutely do recommend. Probably most of you already know, but it's called the All In podcast. All In, like poker, all in podcast, with 4 great moderators, 4 great entrepreneurs. It's weekly, usually on Friday or Saturdays, and they just talk about the world, the economy, what's going on. And for me, it's just such valuable information. I do not miss a single episode, so I really do recommend that. I actually last week sent an email to all of my portfolio company, all of my startups, recommending that they start listening to this podcast. So
Nice.
this I would recommend for sure. In terms of books, the book that had the most impact on my life is very cliche, but it's the 4-Hour Work Week from Tim Ferriss. I read it when I was 18 years old. But if you haven't read it, look it up. It's kind of cliche, but it's still very, very good, and I would recommend you read it. Other than that, books that have really impacted me, I would say Nassim Nicholas Taleb, all of his books. So the first one I think is Black Swan, then Anti-Fragile, and then Skin in the Game. Like you have to have read those. It's just absolutely amazing. Another one is Principles by Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is the founder of one of the biggest investment firm in the world, Bridgewater Capital, I think it's called. And so Principles by Ray Dalio is amazing. That's a good start. Last summer I read the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, which is also very, very famous on Twitter, etc. I think it was good. Some things are for beginners, it's good for everyone, but even for me, many things I knew, but still interesting to read. So Naval's Almanac, maybe it's called something like this.
Nice.
Still pretty, very, very classical, very classic, but interesting. Books, podcasts, TV shows,
series,
movies,
TV shows. Yeah.
I watch a lot of TV shows and series, but it's more for fun. Like it's not business. So I recently watched House of the Dragon. I thought it was pretty good, but that's not like that's just for fun, not for business.
Yeah.
A show that I loved and that really inspired me for business was Billions. I don't know why, but the energy of this show. Every time I was watching Billions, I was so just pumped and energized, and I just wanted to eat the world. And I was like, I'm gonna become a billionaire like this guy, and it's gonna be amazing. So this show for me was pretty cool. It's just fiction, but so of course I would recommend Shark Tank. If you're interested in startup and investing, it's also like a religion. Like I watch religiously all of those episodes. I do recommend that as well for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Great recommendations from Gabriel to all the community. And last but not least, this is your opportunity, Gabriel, to give and share a message to humankind. Anything that you would like to say to everyone. I'm going to put you on first screen here, only you, to address the entire community and give your speech. Are you ready?
I am.
All right.
Okay. So my message to the world is start. Just do the first step. So many people watching interviews, watching videos, maybe you are just, thinking, dreaming of doing stuff. I want to start a business. I want to start investing. I want to take a trip to, I don't know, whatever, Las Vegas. I don't know. And just people don't do it. And they have those mental barriers. They say, I'm going to do it tomorrow, etc., etc. Just do it. I know it's tough. I know you don't want to do it sometimes, but just do it. This is the push that you were waiting for. This is the sign of the universe that you're waiting for. Trust me, you will feel very proud of yourself after you've done it. I myself sometimes don't want to do stuff, but I kick myself and do them and then just feel better. So, this is my message. Do it. Just stop talking about it and do the first step, do the first thing. And you'll be happy that you did it. You'll thank me, you'll thank yourself for doing it. That's it.
Excellent. Yes.
I do what I can.
Yes. That's everything that we have for today's show. It has been amazing to listen and obtaining all of the insights of Gabriel talking towards his business. I forgot the name.
Oh, Leonis, that's fine.
Leonis Investissement in French. In France, Leonis Investment in English.
Yeah.
We have put all of the information there, so you can take a look. Gabriel, I appreciate your time, your knowledge, and to being here, to being honest, to being real,
Absolutely.
to being a real person that wants to share. And the only thing that you didn't give us was what was your YouTube channel?
Oh, it's called Leonis as well. So
Oh, all right. So
you can
Leonis,
find
you can check all of his information there. Appreciate for your time and take care.
Take care. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you inviting me as well. And thank you everyone for watching till the end.
Bye bye. See you.